All right, guys. So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start getting into our next chapter. All right, and our next chapter is on percents. So we're gonna do just a little inquiry lab really quickly today. A little kind of lower key one, just to kind of give you an update of just a little preview, I guess you'd say, more than an update. A little preview on what's to come. Just a little understanding, a little reminder maybe for some of you guys on how percents work. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Okay, go ahead if you haven't done so already. Go ahead and grab your graph paper. Okay, now here is the question. Okay, so listen carefully. This is an internet advertisement claims that 3 out of 5 dentists prefer a certain toothpaste. What percent does this represent? Okay, now before we get started, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder. All right, the word percent, you can even think of it in this way. You can break it up basically into 2 words, and it pretty much defines what the word actually means. All right? What does per mean? What's another word for per? Yeah, each, right? Each. Now, the root word cent, I mean, some other words that we see cent in is like centipede, century, or even the 50 cent. Is that what I hear? Like that? So, I'm not talking about rap. I'm just talking about what's the meaning of cent?
100.
Yeah, it's 100, or sometimes depending on how it's used, 1/100th. And so that's actually what percent is. It's for each 100. All right. So for out of every 100, that's what a percent represents. That's why when you get something like this, your elementary teacher probably taught you. If you get something like 3%, you write it as a fraction. You say, "Oh, that's easy." You just put 3 out of 100. That's what that means. Okay, now obviously you'd reduce for some, but you don't have to reduce on that one. Now, for that reason, what we're going to do today is we're just going to use graph paper, kind of have, I don't know if you want to say it's really a lot of fun, but we're going to have, relatively speaking, some fun with this. All right, so here's what we're going to do. What you're going to do is you're going to start by taking your graph paper, and we're going to start by drawing one that is 10 boxes wide. So when you count carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 boxes wide. In this case, we'll call it 10 units wide. I think these are centimeters, but some of you may have different graph paper. All right, so these are centimeter boxes, but we'll just say each one's a unit. So 10 units wide. After you're done, you might want to count them one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bless you. Bless you. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead, and I mean, if we're writing these as steps, we could say that was step 1, 10 units wide. Maybe put a little 10 there to remind you. All right, step 2 is we're going to go ahead and draw, or I should say label, each line as a percent. So for example, this first line here is going to represent 0%. If something fills up to this line, that is 10%. The next one is 20, then 30, then 40, 50, you guys probably get the idea, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then if it's the whole thing, right, it's 100%. Now, with a percent, we'll talk more about this chapter, but with a percent, you're always going to talk about 2 pieces of information more than likely in a problem, and that is it's going to have a part and it's going to have the whole. So if you want to think of part and whole, one of the ways to talk about it is like in fractions. You say, oh, I have 1/4. Well, right, the whole is the whole, all of the sections, right? For the 1 is the part of the whole that it's talking about, right? Well, in this case, it says they claim that 3 out of 5 dentists prefer certain toothpaste. So the whole is talking about 3 out of 5, right? Is 3 over 5. Well, the whole is 5. So here's what we're going to do. On the very top, we can call this step 3, is you're going to label this using the whole. So in this case, the whole is 5. Now, you might have to do some extra counting, some extra thinking. This might be a little, if you know, where you kind of may go wrong. Make sure you use a pencil, okay? But I do know that if I take a look at this, right, this is 100. If I separate it into 5 sections, what's 100 divided by 5? 20. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with 0, and then I'm going to go over to the 20 and put 1. So I'm basically, that's how I'm going to label this. So 1, skip 1, 2, skip 1, 3, skip 1, 4, skip 1, 5. You could do it this way as well. You could say, oh, 0's at the start, the number is over here, 5 is, the whole thing is 100%, so you put that. The halfway mark, which is the 50, well, it's half of 5, well, 2.5. That should tell you that that's 2 and that's 3. So every 2 of them, you could do it that way, split it up that way. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to do next. Step 4. Step 4 is now we're going to go to there and we're going to draw a line at the part. So it's 3 out of the 5, right? 3 out of 5 dentists. So here's what you do. You go to the top where the hole is. You find the part. In this case, it's 3. And you draw a line. As a matter of fact, not only do you draw a line, but go ahead and shade that section. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just quick, light scribble like that. All right, so here's what we're going to do next. I guess you could say this is step 5 if you're counting these steps. And that is, if you want to know what is the percent of 3 out of 5, all you do is you match the 3 right here. And it is 60% of the dentists prefer a certain toothpaste. Now, could we have solved that problem, mathematically using numbers and computation? Yes, but that's not what our lab is today. Our lab is just using these bars like this to solve them. All right. Okay, here's what we're going to do next. Let's go ahead and let's do one more. All right, here's the question, okay, or the problem. It says, suppose a store advertises a sale in which all the merchandise is 30% off its price. If the price of a cell phone case is $20, how much will you save? So a little bit different. Now, of course, it's talking about money, not a fraction of dentists, right? So here we go. I'm going to actually follow the same exact steps. So step 1, I'm going to go ahead, draw another bar. I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's 10 across. I'll just go ahead and make sure it's even with my last bar. That's the easiest way to do it. I'll just count to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Step 2, right, was to write the percents down below. I'm just going to go by tens, so it goes from 0, so 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then, of course, 100. Now comes the whole. I need to go ahead and label the whole as well. This is 0, but if I take a look here, especially when we get to money, just know this. The whole is pretty much always represented by the original price of the item. And what's the original price, I said? Cell phone case is $20. So I'm going to go ahead and put 20 over here. So of course, I can do it the opposite way of what I was talking about earlier. I can go ahead and say, okay, well, halfway, being the 50%, would be 10. So let's see, how could I label this? 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, perfect. We just label each of them by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8. And then there's 10 there. 12, 14, 16, 18. So we have our bar made. And let me reread the problem one more time. It says, suppose a store advertises a sale in which all merchandise is 30% off its price. Now this one's giving you different information. They're giving you the percent, which is down below. I'm going to go ahead, find my 30%, draw a line, shade it in. Now remember, the top section is out of the hole. It's talking about the amount of money. So when the question says, how much will you save? How much money do we save, guys, if we save 30%? $6. All right, questions on this?
So you only shade from where you did it to the left, right?
Yeah, from your 0 well, yeah, the 0 being on your left, you shade it from 0 to the right. Yeah, it's kind of, think of it as like a growing bar, if you want to think of it that way. Okay.
How would you do that with 9?
With 9? As in, you mean 9 up top? So you're going to probably want to so that's a great question, guys. If you take a look, and I'm sure you're looking at your problem. If you take a look, there is some that says, the very last line on your homework says, if it's not possible to find the exact percent using the model, estimate. So you would do, what I would do if I was you is put 0 here, put 9 here, know that 50% is what? 4.5, right? And then what I would do is then shrink from there and say, okay, if that's 4.5 and 0, then kind of estimate what each line would be, how many lines are in between. Okay, so maybe, or you could just split it again, right? Wherever the 25% is, and say that would be 2.25, right? If you think of 4.5, half of 4.5 is 2.25, and then go from there as well. So that's what it means by estimate. So you're gonna, you can use the line. That'll be more of a challenging problem. That's why they've stuck that in there for you guys. So then you'll just go ahead and once you label the top, then whatever they're asking of you, kind of do your best, find the closest part, shade it in, and then it'll give you a good idea of what your answer is. Okay. And guys, if you're on those kind of problems, if the answer is within a few percent whenever we grade it, when we correct it Monday, then that'll be fine. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, you'll have a few that won't come out exact, so you'll have to do that. All right. Any other questions? All right. So today, here's what I'm going to have you guys do. Page 249. You're going to go ahead and pretty much you can work with a partner. So you stay seated, work with a partner sitting around you. Okay, make sure you guys stay on task and keep the volume down a little lower. All right, but as long as you're on task, you're good. All right, so you can go ahead and get to work.